what I would love to kind of pinpoint down is the, first of all, importance of building the brand. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Right now at my sales team at Lemlist, all of us currently have their own KPIs for LinkedIn as a part of our sales team's KPIs. All of us are posting. We are getting more than 1 million views per month, every month, every sales rep, and everybody starts at the beginning, obviously. So they start with like having 4, 5, 6 likes, and then gradually they increase. But it doesn't take so much time. So Simon, one of my SDRs, recently joined in September. We, from there on, today, he's literally reaching millions of people worldwide. However, the importance of this LinkedIn brand is that it generated for our team not only brand awareness, and it didn't only align us with our marketing team, because we finally were able to understand how they're thinking, how they're working. It enabled us to kind of think outside of the box. And then when you get people talking to you on LinkedIn, you start thinking, okay, maybe I shouldn't be stuck on my sequence. Let's just talk to people. Let's just reach out to them. I saw this comment. Let me send them a message. That's where you right now, you're in a position where you're seeing you're helping people. You're seeing that you're really building that brand and buzz around you. So you start talking to them and you kind of free your mind from being stuck on the sequencing, on cold calling, on cold emailing. And it, first of all, gives you so much value. So building a LinkedIn brand, or any brand, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't matter depending on your ICP. But that was the first thing that I wished I knew earlier, because then I would have started it earlier. Second thing that I did make a mistake in the beginning was definitely having can you believe it? Yes.
How dare you?
How dare I? So obviously when I started off in sales, I switched for marketing. So I obviously had no idea what I'm about to do. So I was kind of playing around, going with my gut feeling. First mistake, I didn't immediately start watching predictable revenue webinars, first of all. So taking that step where you yourself learn by yourself and not wait for your managers, leaders, etc., to kind of give it to you on the plate. That's where you stand out, and that's where it makes a difference for you. And then second of all, I really started immediately going with a typical approach, which is spray and pray, starting to shoot a lot of emails, just trying to get as many demos booked as possible by reaching out to as many people as I could, without actually realizing that this is not the approach that actually converts best, and that by building relationships, you're positioning yourself in a way that you're not only going to get that demo booked or deal signed, you're building a relationship that's going to last for a lifetime. So you're developing your network. You're able to drive so much more from that one relationship, such as intros, such as seeking advice, possibly getting job referrals. There's so much more that you can right now drive from that relationship that is not strictly revenue based, I would say. And then again, obviously the conversions go up. You start to think that all of the people that we are reaching out to are human beings. So even if you're on a C-level, that's also was one of the mistakes that I made. If you're a C-level and you're an SDR, you immediately put yourself in that lower position where you think, okay, I'm not worried, I'm scared, I'm gonna, I don't know how to approach this guy. Fact is, these are all human. We can all talk in the same way. Again, this is also something that for me was really kind of mind-blowing. When you put yourself in a position that you're helping somebody, you're not bothering them, you're not apologizing for bothering them, you're not pinging them and pulling their arms. You're thinking, okay, this guy have this problem, this is how I can help solve it. That's where your mindset changes, and that's how you start approaching people differently. And these are all the kind of small things that I've learned. Not so much actionable right now, what I'm sharing, but I'm trying my best.
I mean, I really liked the piece that you mentioned about, I think my takeaway was it's a long game. The second piece you mentioned about thinking about people and thinking about building connections and building your network. And I'm trying to blank on his name right now, but I'll come back to it. I'll see if I can find the episode. But we were talking about, this is a bit of a tangent. We were talking about how to hire a sales leader, right? And his recommendation was hire somebody that's familiar, that's done a similar, the preference is always similar deal size, deal flow, deal structure. So if it's SMB, you're selling to SMB with like a 2 call close, SMB with 2 call close with like a, 15 to 50K, annual deal size. Somebody that's familiar with that sales motion, super valuable. Somebody that's familiar with that sales motion and the customer base, exceptionally valuable. As a sales, I think the logic follows for somebody who's looking for the next sales role, whether you're an SDR trying to get an AE or an AE trying to get a sales management position. That if you've been, and if you're, and this is how I think it becomes actionable, is if you're a sales development rep, zoom out, look at your career, right? And if you think the next logical step is somebody is selling to a similar audience, then suddenly building your network isn't just something you're doing for now, it's something you're doing for your entire career. It's not just going to help you on this commission check. It's going to help you on that commission check 18 months down the road where you might be a little bit flat and you're trying to like build a couple of meetings, or you might be at another company and you're trying to drum up some sales now instead of book some meetings. And so to me, zooming out, and it's the realizing it's the long game, because everything you're doing now is going to make you much more valuable for the next role, whether it's internally within your company or it's externally at another company, or it's just selfishly for your next paycheck 12 months down the road. If you plan on staying in this role for a while, like it builds and builds and builds. But I think your advice is super actionable. It just requires you to zoom out and realize that this is a profitable activity, no matter what way you look at it.
For sure. And there's so many things that right now, from the perspective of the sales leader, right now when we're often like SDRs are perceived as undervalued a bit in the organizations. And the fact is, they're the ones who are actually on the first lines talking to the customers. They're the ones who are establishing this relationship with their customers. They're the ones setting up the scene, and they're buying experience. And again, buyers today, they determine whether they're going to buy or not, strictly depending on how their buying experience looked like in the past. So if you, as an SDR, build that first touch, that first relationship that is properly built, let alone it's going to be good for your account executives and your sales leaders who are going to basically took it over. But for you as an SDR, you're going to be representing the company. And at the end, you're going to have that relationship to pull back in the future, and just you're going to have such a great network afterwards that it's going to be enabling you to just expand so much deeper.